The Lego Movie came out on February 7th, 2014 and was received pretty positively. And that's because it's a pretty good movie. It's certainly not a groundbreaking plot. The movie exists purely just to sell toys, but it's still a good movie. Also, the animation is really good. I didn't know how to segue into that point. Anyways, the Lego Movie 2 is about to come out. It's probably already out by the time this video comes out, but that's not why we're here. Today I've decided that we're going to be talking about the original Lego Movie, The Adventures of Clutch Powers. I have no idea why, but here we are. So this is one of those movies that just kind of appeared out of nowhere, and I have no idea where I got it. It just showed up one day at my grandparents' house, and I used to watch it all the time. I never really thought it was all that good, but I still liked it because I liked Lego, and I still like Lego a lot. It's kind of a problem. So when I went to my grandparents' house to get the movie so I could make this video, I found the box that came in with no disc. But I was slightly sad I couldn't make this video, but I was talking to one of my friends about not being able to find my disc. It turned out that he had a copy of the movie at his house. It was only then that it occurred to me that I was not the only person to have seen this movie. I don't know why I needed to tell that story. It has nothing to do with the rest of the video. I just felt like it needed to be told. It's not even an interesting story. The only interesting thing about the story is that I actually have friends somehow. I don't know why either. Whatever, I'm getting sidetracked. Let's just move on and talk about this truly wonderful piece of cinema. So the movie opens with a whole 30 seconds of logos. You can tell they really thought highly of this movie. Eventually, our boy, Clutch Powers himself, bursts into the scene on an old power miner set, while talking to somebody on a radio. Apparently he's doing something he shouldn't, and it's too dangerous to be out alone. But of course, Clutch always works alone, and continues. Also, his belt isn't made of Lego. I'd just like to point that out. Anyways, Clutch finds a bunch of power crystals and grabs the biggest one he can find. This wakes up a massive rock monster, and we get a thrilling chase, as well as this amazingly well-delivered line.
Rock monsters? Why does it have to be rock monsters?
Give this voice actor an award, really. Anyways, Clutch decides to fight the rock monster with the power loader from Aliens, and then he has to get creative when it inevitably breaks. So he builds a slingshot and just yeets himself and a drill at a wall just so he can break out. And then we get the amazing twist that the crystal Clutch had been carrying was the big rock monster's baby. So Clutch returns it because he's such a nice guy, and he gets a power crystal from the monster in the process. The lesson here is you can be a dick and still get rewarded. You can steal babies whenever you want, kids. You'll get a reward as long as you bring them back. Anyways, then we get a driving montage through the city, showing us a bunch of 2010 Lego sets, including Clutch's car, which is one I used to have. Apparently everyone in the city knows who Clutch is, especially this guy, who is absolutely ecstatic about seeing him.
Clutch Powers.
Also, Clutch almost kills a lot of people in this scene. But regardless of Clutch's kill count, he eventually makes it to Lego HQ, where he's introduced to his team, which he apparently doesn't need. The team is full of great, well-written characters that are very memorable, like the biologist lady, the engineer guy, and the fireman. I don't remember any of their names. Also, their boss says Clutch's dad is important, because of course it is. It kind of comes out of nowhere, but I'm not surprised in the slightest. Why the hell wouldn't his dad be important? Anyways, their boss gives them their mission. Apparently some really dangerous prisoners broke out of a space prison and they need to go investigate. Also, people just get flat out murdered in this police footage they found. Just gonna point that out. We then get introduced to this crazy scientist guy who gives them a spaceship, and then he leaves the movie. He doesn't come back. He also has a really evil laugh for someone that is supposedly innocent. I'm on to you. And then we get the infamous can't fit through the door gag, which is in all the marketing for this movie. I only know that because I watched a lot of the marketing when I was making this video. I don't know why. I could only think of this during this scene though.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Anyways, after hanging out on the spaceship for a while, they almost crash onto the planet, and we get some building scenes, because we gotta market Lego somehow. We also get our first obligatory burp joke. This movie peaked, guys. We can go home. We're all done here. Our heroes eventually find the prison cells, and find all but one shattered. Then the gang of criminals attack, kind of trap our criminals, and then they leave, stealing their ship. They break out pretty much instantly, so I don't know why the criminals really bothered. It turns out the watch commander from the surveillance footage from earlier was in the unbroken cell, and he tells them that the criminals want to unite all evil across the galaxy. And then he gets justifiably mad at the gang for being idiots. Since the criminals stole their ship, the gang has to build a new ship, and it sucks because they can't work together. So Clutch just decides to build a new ship instant. Why couldn't he just build the ship himself in the first place if he could just do it faster? And don't give me that, oh, it's sped up bullshit, because it's not. He built the slingshot at this rate when he was in the caves with the rock monster. The crew leaves in their new ship, abandoning the watch commander at the prison, and then they're told by their boss that somebody named Omega was one of the main criminals, and he's the big villain. Also, he's connected to Clutch's dad. Then they have to go stop the wizard, who was another one of the criminals. So they go to a medieval planet and they destroy Stonehenge while landing. Then they see a cart full of evil skeletons and their guns are shut down because evil magic. Of course. We then get introduced to the skeleton comedy relief because that's exactly what this movie needed. I remember watching this movie as a kid and I'm like, you know what this movie needs? Dumb skeletons.
Mean, I'd have to say.
Mean? Would you go that far?
Yeah, when he did the thing with the thing.
Right. Mean. I'm good with mean.
It delivered. So their names are Bones and Scully, and they're the only names I can remember besides Clutch himself. Apparently they were assigned to find a castle, and the prince with it, but they can't find it. So we get a terrible joke about that, and the wizard acts accordingly. Back with our main characters, they were trying to build a battle cart. Clutch sends the girl to go find some tracks while he goes to find the prince. Bones and Scully follow him, and we get a scene that's essentially just the traps section from Undertale. Clutch powers predicted Sans and Papyrus, but Bones and Scully they're just Sans and Papyrus. I hate it. Eventually, Clutch gets to a bridge with a troll on it, and the troll claims that he's going to ask 3 riddles. The troll then asks Clutch to rebuild the bridge, which he does using more pieces than the bridge originally contained. Then he asks a question about the versatility of Lego bricks, because they needed to plug that information into the movie because they weren't selling enough brick boxes. And then he actually asks a real riddle. Then the troll decides to try and mind trick Bones and Scully, and he runs off with Clutch. He just straight up bores him, and I don't like the underlying meanings about that at all. So the troll spits out Clutch and reveals that the castle was behind a painted wall this whole time, and that's why Scully and Bones couldn't find it. The troll then agrees to take Clutch to the prince, and we cut back to the gang struggling to make the battle cart. Also, the lady finds a dragon. Back at the castle, we get a speech about troll racism. That's not a joke. And then we are told that the wizard wants the previous king's sword, as it's the only weapon that can defeat him, if it's wielded by a royal family member. Clutch then goes and meets the prince and tries to teach him how to sword fight, because Clutch is apparently amazing at everything. And then the prince realizes this and is a dick to Clutch. Back at the camp, the gang finishes the battle cart, and hooray! Also, they forgot a gear, because they're all idiots. We then get an awkward scene between the engineer and the girl, which I can relate to, and then we get attacked by a dwarf, who decides to help them. We also get this wonderfully delivered line. My hero! So now it's time for everybody to attack the castle, and the prince suddenly decides to help. Just like that. And he brought an army. That was convenient. Anyways, Clutch realizes that the prince needs to be inside the castle to defeat the wizard, but also outside to lead the army. So he takes the hair from the girl and gives her the crown, which fixes that issue. I guess that makes the prince a trap, huh? This movie has an unusually high amount of things like that. I don't know if I'm okay with that. Anyways, inside the castle, the prince and Clutch are fighting a suit of armor, and they win, because the prince is an idiot. Then the wizard shows up and tricks Clutch with the vision of his father, and he takes them as prisoners. The wizard then raises a skeleton army and attacks the knights while Bones and Scully laugh at their uncle, who dies a horrible death, again, in front of their eyes. And then the knights are forced to retreat and the cart breaks because they built it wrong. The gang inevitably starts bickering because, something has to happen in this movie, and the engineer tries to confess his love for the girl. But he's interrupted by the wizard, who's giving a message saying he'll kill Clutch and the prince if they don't bring the sword to him. So the troll goes and gets a crate with the sword inside. But wait, the sword is missing. Apparently the prince dropped it when they were fighting the knight. This plot's just full of twists and turns. The wizard doesn't like that the sword is missing, so he just yeets the troll across the world. Anyways, Clutch decides it's time to break out, so he writes the word Lego out of the bones in his cage, which it inspires the crew. The girl has to kiss the engineer to boost his inspiration a little more. What a Chad. Maybe that's how you find love. Just be a whiny little bitch until someone kisses you. Take notes, lads. Anyways, they build a new battle cart, and the knights join them and go back to the wizard's castle to attack. The lady even summons a dragon, which he uses to break Clutch and the prince out of their cage. The fireman uses a jetpack to come in, and he interrupts Scully and Bones' gambling game. The cart inevitably crashes, and the engineer's legs are ripped off in the process. He's unusually calm about that. I get that they're Lego, but still, if my legs were detachable, I wouldn't want them to be forcibly ripped off.
I'm not half the man I used to be.
Back at the castle, the prince is freaking out. So Clutch inspires him with a good old-fashioned dad talk, which inspires him. Also, the fireman is fighting Scully and Bones, and the engineer just straight up kills them by throwing a gear at them. Back inside, Clutch almost gives the sword to the wizard because he showed him a picture of his dad. So the prince gives Clutch the same talk as Clutch gave him a couple minutes earlier. Isn't that nice? Cinematic parallels. So the prince then fights a wizard, and it's honestly like a bad video game level. The wizard inevitably gets bored of his poor level design and shoots the prince, which somehow lights the sword on fire and allows the prince to trap the wizard with some sick bling. The skeleton army immediately dies and everything is fixed just like that. The prince is kinged and everything is great. It's like the ending of Phantom Menace. I don't know whether Phantom Menace for this movie is better. The team returns to HQ and are assigned their next mission, which is to go and capture the next criminal. Then the movie ends. Yay, I don't have to watch anymore. So that was it. That was Clutch Powers. Honestly, the movie is not that bad. It's bad, but it's not that bad. It's just an hour and a half ad for Lego sets. Go watch the Lego Movie if you want an actually good Lego movie. Or the Lego Movie 2. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I mean, don't get me wrong, those movies are just really long commercials too, but they do it kind of differently. I don't know, it's hard to explain. The DVD also has some other stuff on it. Let's look at those because I want to make the video longer, and also because I hate myself and want to make the editing harder. The first thing on here is some obligatory ads. There's really nothing special about these, just some normal TV commercials. We also get these cute little stop motion videos for Space Police, which was around at the time. Honestly, they're not that bad at all. If you can find them online, I'd recommend them. They're nothing spectacular, but they're not bad. We also get this.
Come on. Come on, baby. I just want out.
There's also a short about the crazy scientist from earlier. It's not very good. Basically, the scientist invents a gun that could warp things in from other planets, and he accidentally summons Scully and Bones, as well as a few other things from the movie. It's just 3 minutes of nothing really happening and references to the movie from before. Right, so that about wraps things up. We're pretty much done here. That was everything that movie had to offer me. I can get rid of it now. I think it was clearly set up for a sequel that we never got, and I think that's okay. I don't think we're wasting a lot of potential here. Honestly, I kinda hope that Clutch shows up in the Lego Movie 2. That'd be kinda cool. I'd be the only person that gets it, but whatever. I'm tired. I'm gonna go take a nap. Bye.